Hey everybody, I'm in California. I'm waiting on my trailer over there to get unloaded. I'm going to start just go on from Acts to Romans, but before I do that, a subscriber, Joseph Dunn, he's a pastor of a church in Tennessee, asked me what if I would do Ezekiel 38 and 39. And I got to tell you, brother, I've watched a bunch of stuff, I read a bunch of stuff, and prophecy is my favorite subject. But to tell you that I understand these two chapters, I would be totally lying to you. And everyone that I have watched or read has a different opinion, so one is as good as the other. Ruckman says that chapter 38 and 39 are describing two battles, one and in reverse order. So he says chapter 39 is describing Armageddon, and chapter 38 is describing the battle at the end of the millennium, you know, when the devil's loosed for a season. That's about as good of an opinion as any. I've heard also that, there's four major opinions on the subject. One is toward the end of the present age, which could be. One is during the tribulation period, which could be. One is after Christ's return, but before the millennium. And one is after the millennium reign of Christ. So your guess is as good as mine. But we'll read it and look at it anyway. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech, and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And this is as a reference at Genesis 10:2. Which just tells you that he is a son of Japheth. Now these are the the sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tyrus. And then it gives you the reference over here. So, Noah had three sons: Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Japheth went to Europe, Ham went to Africa, and Shem went up into Asia. Shem was the blessed seed. Japheth would be the European people. So that's who Gog is of Magog, all right? And say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. Now, we're not real sure when this battle is. Could be Armageddon, could be at the end of the millennium, before the millennium, you know. Persia, that would be... say Persia is Iran, right? And then Ethiopia and Libya, with them all, of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah. Now you can read different people or watch different videos, and they all say these are different places. So your guess is as good as mine on that. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, so it's at the end of times probably. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Ezekiel confuses me sometimes, so I'm probably not the best one to do this for you. You can find videos by scholars, but they all disagree. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. So he's going to attack the ungated cities, the unwalled cities, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. So he's going to be raping and pillaging, evidently. Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish. We know where Tarshish is. That's where Paul was from. With all the young lions thereof, that was probably describing all his soldiers, shall say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Lord God, in that day, when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it. And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, and a great company and a mighty army. Again, I don't know exactly when this is. I gave you the 4 different times that the scholars suggest. So, and thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, so this is at the end of times again, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. Thus saith the Lord God, art thou he of whom I have spoken in old time by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years, that I would bring thee against them? So he prophesied this, and I don't have the reference. I think Jeremiah maybe, or I think in Jeremiah he prophesied that, but I don't have the reference. And it shall come to pass at the same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in his face. So God's going to fight for Israel again. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken, surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. Maybe an earthquake, I don't know. So that the fishes of the sea and the fowls of the heaven and the beasts of the field and all creeping things that creep upon the earth and all the men that are upon the face of the earth shall shake at my presence, and the mountains shall be thrown down, and the steep places shall fall, and every wall shall fall to the ground, and I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains. So The mountains are going to fall flat. I think that's why Ruckman said that this is the battle at the end of the millennium, because that's when, you know, all the mountains are going to come to the ground. And that's in, I think, Revelation chapter 20, if you want to read through that. I'm not going to go there right now, but saith the Lord God, every man's sword shall be against his brother, and I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him an overflowing rain and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Okay, well, that kind of self-explanatory, I guess. So Peter S. Ruckman says that's the battle at the end of the millennium, and then in 39 is the battle of Armageddon. I don't want to teach anything dogmatic that I do not know, because you know, we're responsible for anything we teach, and I'm telling you right now, a lot better men than me don't have a clue what's going on here, but I'm going through it for you, Joe. Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog, and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel. And I will smite thy bow out of thy hand, and I will cause thine arrows to fall out of the right hand. I've heard that, you know, represents missiles and stuff like that. I don't know. Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beast of the field to be devoured. Now he's saying that's Armageddon, because remember, that's what happens. He says, go feast on the kings and the men and the great men, the birds. So there you go. That's where they get that. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord God. And I will send a fire on Magog. And your guess is as good as mine where Magog is. Everybody I've listened to and everybody I read says something different. I think it's somewhere probably in Europe, or it could even be up towards Russia. I don't, you know, I've heard so many different things. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. They're going to know he's God when he comes back, whenever this battle is. Behold, it is come, and it is done, saith the Lord God. This is the day whereof I have spoken. So as sure as he's saying this, it's going to happen. I don't know when, but this is for sure going to happen. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and bucklers and bows and arrows and handstaves and spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. So for 7 years, the weapons of this battle are going to burn. Could that be the tribulation? I don't know. I really don't know, but you know, no, everybody's got a different opinion on it. So your guess is as good as mine. I'm just a truck driver, brother. So that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith the Lord God. So they're not going to have to worry about heat because of that. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers, and they shall bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Hammon Gog. I think he's saying that's going to stink. And 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them. Yeah, they're burying the bodies of this battle for 7 months, that they may cleanse the land, and yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, saith the Lord God. So that could identify the time. When is he going to be glorified? At the beginning of the millennium. So Ruckman might be right. This might be the Battle of Armageddon. Sounds good to me anyhow. And they shall sever out men and continual employment passing through the land, to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search, and the passengers that pass through the land, when any seeth a man's bone, then shall he set up a sign by it, till the bearers have buried it in the valley of Hammon Gog. So they're going to go out for 7 months, and if they find a bone, they're going to put a little flag, a marker up, and the guys that are burying, they're going to bury it in this big graveyard that they got there. And also the name of the city shall be Hammonah. Thus shall they cleanse the land. 16. Let me see what this says down here. H. 16. Oh, that is. He just, the multitude. Okay. That didn't help me any. And thou son of man, thus saith the Lord God, speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves, and come gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. See that, remember in Revelation, what is it, 14? Armageddon. Well, that'll give you something to look up, brother. Look up Armageddon in Revelation. I think it's chapter 14. And when they're eating flesh and stuff, that's where I think Ruckman's getting his, why he thinks this is Armageddon. 38 is the end of the millennium. Ye shall eat the flesh of mighty, and drink the blood of the princes of the earth. That sounds just like that, don't it? And rams and lambs, and goats and bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan. Yeah, that does kind of sound like the Battle of Armageddon to me. So I would say I would agree with him that 38 is describing the end of the millennium battle, and this is describing Armageddon. But I will not say that dogmatically, because I really don't know. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken, and my sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you. He's talking to the birds still. Thus ye shall be filled at my table with horses and chariots and mighty men, and with all men of war, saith the Lord God. Remember, in Armageddon, that's what they do. Yeah, Revelation 19. I'm sorry, that's where it's at. Revelation 19. 18. That's where Armageddon is. I'm sorry. And I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed in my hand, that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day and forward. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. I don't have a clue what that means. Is that talking about when they went into Babylon? I have no idea. According to their uncleanliness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. What I'm doing here, Joe, is I'm talking, I'm not taking anybody's advice so much. I'm doing this on my own and seeing where the Lord leads me, because there's so many different opinions on this, which I'm sure you already know anyhow. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. After that they have borne their shame and all their transgressions whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. And when I have brought them again from the people, and gathered them out of their enemies' lands, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations. This sounds like right the Armageddon battle to me. Then shall they know that I am the Lord their God, right after the tribulation, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen,